Okay, for this strange happenings, I'm going to talk about others like me. I think there probably are. Well, I know there are. There's got to be other people out there like me, and I'm not the only one like this. Maybe I am to this extent. I don't know. But I think there are other people out there like me, a little bit at least, because I mentioned in another video about that me and a friend in college who was sitting in the back seat and seeing the cops up the road. They just kind of liked me. Well, that's true. His name was Charles, and we used to play little psychic games with each other. Putting up kind of mental barriers and shields, trying to break through them. That kind of thing, little psychic kind of fun things, seeing what each other's thinking, that sort of thing. Not reality shifting things that seem to happen around me, but just the normal little psychic stuff. And it was fun. It worked, and it even worked to the point where we had started sharing dreams. We could come back and say, this happened in the dream, and yeah, you were standing here and you did this, and he'd tell me you were standing here and you did this. It's like, yeah, it's the exact same dream, and that we're each in, but we decided to stop that because we're both guys, and if you're a guy, you know what your dreams go to eventually. So yeah, that's not a good idea. So we stopped that. We both agreed, yep, that's probably not a good idea to keep going in that direction. Yeah, but it was interesting. And because of that, because getting the impression I can't be the only one, I wanted to start trying to figure it out and research and read books. And so I did that in college. Read some books on this kind of thing, psychic stuff, and even in my professional career when I moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area with the half-price bookstores, which are wonderful, reading up on these kind of subjects and trying to figure it out and get a little bit of control over what's going on. Back in college again with Charles, or we both decided to join the Masonic Lodge, Masons. I figured they've been around for a long time. Maybe they know something, and I do believe in this higher power. I don't know if it's God or Supreme Overlord, whatever you want to call it, but there is something out there for sure. I have to believe that. It's just I don't think I have a choice. I have to. So I joined them, and I was having a real difficulty at the very beginning because there's a lot of memorization that goes on in the Masonic Lodge at the very beginning parts of it. A lot of memorization, a whole bunch of things you have to recite, and I was having real issues. Finally, they brought in, switched me over to what turned out to be their historian. He was like a national historian, and to help tutor me get through all this. And one of the big problems I was having, I wasn't saying words correctly. And that was the problem. I wanted to say them a different way than what I was being taught. And I finally broke down and told him that this doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. This can't be right. I feel like the way I'm saying it is the correct way to say it. And he agreed. He said, yes, you are correct. He said they have changed the way they sound over the years, and they're trying to teach me. He's trying to teach me the way everybody else is saying it currently, to be like everybody else. This is the way they want to hear it. He goes, but the way you're speaking it is the actual original ancient way it was done. So I was trying to somehow, from instinct, I guess, intuition, to do it and speak it the way it was supposed to be, the original way of speaking these particular words and things like that. I don't know why, where it came from, but it felt right. And he agreed that it was right. And after that point, I could get through it because I knew, and maybe, I don't know if it was just a ploy on his part to get me through it, but at that point, it's like, I can say these words in this manner, knowing they're not real. That's not the way you say these words. I know it, but I can say them just for the benefit of everyone else. And then it was no problem for me. And he did help me with that point. Eventually, honestly, I did get away from the Masons because I moved out of state, and I didn't keep up with it once I moved out of state and joined my permanent career out of college. And so I didn't keep up with it, which is too bad on my part. But I didn't really learn anything new, at least then. From what I could find out from the historian, maybe there was something deeper, and I didn't get there. I don't know. It is kind of odd, but I don't know. I did read books on even witchcraft, things like that. I tried their spells and stuff like that, and believe it or not, they worked. They worked for me. All of it worked for me. I don't know why, but it did. But it's not something that I felt was a little foolish, because my whole thing is I want to be able to control this side of me and do things in a crowd. I want to be able to do it in a crowd and have a positive impact with people, but nobody notice. And that was my thing. I wanted to keep quiet. And a lot of this witchcraft stuff is, ritual and words and objects being involved, things like that. That's not me. I don't need all that. I don't know why, but I didn't need all that. I don't need all that. Part of it also with the witchcraft stuff was controlling spirits and things like that. And that was a real negative for me. I tried it. It worked. But it kind of hurt, and it kind of hurt the spirits kind of thing. I know I'm getting into way tangent here, totally stupid, crazy stuff, but it did work. And my problem is I've always talked to these like friends, the good and the bad, both the good and the bad, as friends, because I want to learn. I want to know. I want more knowledge. I want wisdom more than anything, to learn how to do things the right way and in a positive way for people. So wisdom is important. I love knowledge. I want both sides. I don't want just one side. I want both sides. So when doing that witchcraft, we're trying to control things through force, it was just bad, evil from my viewpoint, that you're trying to do this to your friends. So I didn't do that. And I dropped that whole side of it. I actually did go to Beltane Festival with some witches, calling Four Corners, things like that. And the whole thing to me was just pageantry. I didn't see any power with it at all. It was just pageantry, procession, people dressing like they wanted to dress. And I'm just like, this is so odd. There was one person there that I felt something from. Apparently he was into Norse runes. And I could feel something from him. Like he may have been like me a little bit, actually had a connection with whatever's up and out there, a connection. So there was one person there, was an older gentleman that dealt with runestones, was doing a little class on runestones, and he was impressive. But everybody else, I didn't feel a thing. It's kind of weird. I did actually meet another real witch back in college. And it was college days. My dorm mate that's where he got his weed from, his marijuana from, was from this witch. And so we went over to visit her, and she was doing tarot cards and did my friend there. And she wanted to do mine. And I told her, it's probably not a good idea. I'm not like everybody else. And she insisted. So I said, okay, this is the results you're going to get. You're going to get a reading, and it's going to come out horribly negative, about the worst possible negative you could ever get on these cards. Then I said, if you do it again a second time, it'll be the opposite. It will be totally positive, because I still deal with both sides, positive, negative. I want all sides of the story, not just one. And so she did it. And that's exactly what happened. It was totally horrible, negative the first time. She did it a second time, totally beautiful, positive, that you massively could get positive. And that freaked her out a little bit, so she wanted to go outside to smoke. So we went outside to smoke. And while I was standing out the car, I looked up at the skies and some spotty clouds late at night. Looked up at the sky, and this big, beautiful blue meteor came shooting through the sky, the most beautiful meteor I've ever seen. It was blue, and it hit the clouds and lit up the clouds as it was going through. It was just a big blue meteor. It's beautiful. And she totally flipped out. That was it. That was the last time I got invited over to see anybody for anything. But that was done with the meteor thing, the blue meteor. So that was kind of funny. And, I thought it was funny. It was kind of cool, but it was beautiful, beautiful blue meteor. So that was fun. So I have researched and tried different things. A lot of these different things do work for me. But again, I'd rather do things that people don't notice, and I'm able to help people without them noticing. Which I've done quite a bit. I still do, actually, all the time. But to keep it on the positive side. And as far as these entities, I mentioned in another video, Seeing Through Walls, seeing entities out there. These are some of the entities that I talk to. I talk to everything. I mentioned in a video, I talk to everything, including some of these entities. And sometimes they take action on their own. And there's been one instance where I was literally saved my life. I was within feet of a head-on collision, and I'll get into that more, but they pushed my entire truck sideways against the tire, and that was impressive. And that wasn't me. That was the others out there. So sometimes they take action on their own, but I know, video's way too long. Sorry. Just kind of a little something extra here.